CBS 12.
The South Florida Business Report.
And coming up next, Business Report producer David Weir talks with North Palm Beach financial advisor Walter Burns of Family Steward Wealth Consulting. Dave asked Walter what his advisory firm was all about.
Well, Family Steward Wealth Consulting, we focus on serving people that we call family stewards. And family stewards are people who are successful, and they want to live the one life they have the best way they can. They also want to develop closer relationships with friends and family, and they want to make sure that their wealth empowers their heirs to be their very best.
I got you.
So these are the types of people that we work with. I got you.
So it's kind of like generational type of situations, huh?
Yes, it is. And the failure rate for intergenerational wealth transfer is about 70%, and that was documented by a guy named Roy Williams. 3,250 actual cases, a study of over 40 years, and so only 30% is successful.
You know, Walter, I'll tell you what, I've seen this. I've seen this happen right across the intercoastal over in Palm Beach. I've seen trust babies. You start out with millions of dollars, you go right down the tubes.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know.
And what a shame. I mean, you would work all your life to build wealth and try to make the best thing for your family, and then it's gone in like 3 generations. There's an expression, shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations, and it goes all over the world. In Ireland, it's clogs to clogs in 3 generations. In China, it's rice bowl to rice bowl in 3 generations. So it's kind of universal. And so forth.
So we don't have a lock on any of this stuff here.
No, we don't.
Over in Palm Beach, we don't, right?
Absolutely.
Well, what do you think is the biggest impediment to this situation?
Lack of preparation for the heirs, lack of trust within the family, lack of communication. Those are the big things. So, for example, one little example would be that if a person has done their estate planning documents, wouldn't it be appropriate to discuss that and let the heirs read those documents before a person passes away so it isn't a great surprise at the end? Wouldn't it be a great idea to train the heirs to receive this wealth later on in life? Maybe if there's charities involved, this would be a good place for training of particularly young children and so forth. So there are many things that can be done to prepare the heirs, and if they're prepared for wealth, then there's a good chance it'll be successful.
Well, how did you get involved in this type of situation?
When I was a young boy, about 14 years old, I was on a road trip with my mom, my dad. My mother looked around in the back seat of the car and she says, "Walter, did you know that all the men in the Burns family died destitute?" And I said, "Well, gosh, Mom, I didn't know. I actually knew the meaning of the word destitute at 14 years old. It was pretty good." So she said, "Let me explain." She talked about my great-great-grandfather, who was a very famous honorable privateer in the War of 1812. His name was Otway Burns, and he did many other things other than privateering, which I won't bore you with all that today. But at his peak, he was worth, in terms of today's dollars, well over $200 million, and he died broke. And then came his son, Captain Owen Burns, and Captain Burns was a merchant and a merchant sailor. And when the Civil War came along, he decided he would be a blockade runner. Unfortunately, unlike his dad, he got captured by the Yankees and ended up imprisoned outside of Washington, D.C. And you know how it was during that time frame. Everything was gone with the wind if you were from the South. Right. So he died broke. Then my grandfather came along, and he was quite a successful guy. For example, my dad was raised like little Lord Fauntleroy, as was I, by the way. My grandfather, toward the latter part of his life, put all of his money into barbed wire at the time of World War I. His plan was he was going to sell it to the government, and he knew it was a sure thing. So what he did is he bought a whole bunch on leverage, put almost everything he had in it. Well, guess what? When the war ended, right after he took constructive receipt, the value of barbed wire plummeted.
Right.
And so he died broke. And little did I know that my dad would follow suit. My dad was a great guy and did a lot of wonderful things for me, but he died broke, and it was my honor, really my obligation and so forth, to take care of my mama for the last 13 years of her life. So you see, in the Burns family, we had this distinction that we don't wait for 3 generations. We lose always in the first generation. So from this came my intense interest of ending what I'll call the Burns family curse.
Yeah.
And I have ended it. And I've been successful at that through my donor advised fund and a few other things. And that curse is over. And hopefully, and my plan is to try
Wait a minute, Walter. You got any kids?
I have one kid, and he's a wonderful lad, and probably will do well in the future.
Well, so hope he doesn't carry on the curse.
No, my planning does not allow him to do that.
Okay.
But I won't get into all those details here today.
No.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so you work with families, and you explain to them, try to avoid, so to speak, the Burns family curse.
Well, yes, and I became so interested in this. First of all, it was my own self-interest, but that evolved into, it became a passion for me, really a calling, to try to help people who are interested in, one, living the best life they can without money worries, and protecting and preserving family wealth. And this is sort of my calling, which I intend to do indefinitely because I just love to do it.
All right. Well, listen, before we wrap this up, Walter, I noticed you're wearing the Navy Wings of Gold, and you served in Vietnam, you told me. And how long ago was that?
That was when I had hair in my head. A long time ago when I was a lot younger and a lot more foolish. But my Navy experience was great. I really enjoyed it. And,
listen, I want to thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
And getting out of Vietnam alive, being in the naval aviation, flying off carriers in Vietnam. That's a tough road to go, boy.
Well, most of it was fun.
Most of it.
It was. Most of it's a lot of fun operating off an aircraft carrier, except for when they're shooting at you. Yeah. The rest of it is a pretty good time.
All right, Walter Burns, thanks a lot for being here, and God bless you.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
And stay with us.